we're going to get more into the Eagles because it's been an interesting week if you haven't been paying attention. I understand for a lot of people, the Micah Parsons news has been hot and heavy out there. But Cayden Steele from NJ.com is joining us right now on 97.3 ESPN because Cayden, Howie Roseman is back at it again. He's doing the roster shuffling. I love the comment he made earlier this week saying that we look at this as a 70-man, not a 53-man. It's probably the most pertinent information from the Eagles to kind of let us all know that the Eagles are looking at this roster differently than other teams are.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely consider the development aspect in the 70-man roster part. And Howie Roseman is always aggressive. He didn't make a big move this week. Some people maybe expected a trade, but it was really more minor moves to fill out the roster, which is an important aspect. But I still think the Eagles eventually are going to make a big move at some point this season. They still have the trade deadline. So I think that's even the more important aspect. You talk about the 70-man roster, but also the fact that he's able to evaluate this roster going into September. They aren't done finishing. And then when he said they're not done, and he was talking about just overall the roster construction, they're going to continue to churn over the bottom of this roster continually. Any small margins that will help. And then, I expect them to make another move at some point as well. So Howie's always working, so which is a good thing.
Now, you mentioned making another move. Well, one of the interesting moves that was made this week was the one that nobody saw coming, which was all of a sudden guys like you are covering the team at practice, and there's Britton Covey running around with a Guardian cap on his head. And I'm looking on social media being like, is this an old tweet? Is this an old post? Like, I thought I was being like duped or something. And, all of a sudden it's like all guys like you and everybody covering the team is like, Britton Covey's here, but we don't have an official announcement from the Eagles. Talk about what that was like for everybody.
Yeah, it didn't shock me. I think I wrote a story earlier this week, and I was like, it makes sense for Britton Covey to come back. I mean, one, he had the neck problem last year, so he got released. No one was probably going to be too interested. He probably wasn't going to have a big market. So coming back to Philadelphia makes sense for him. I mean, but just going back on seeing him, it was a little interesting that there was no announcement, and you see 85. You're like, oh, there's that small wide receiver. He looks kind of familiar, and then you can see it's Covey with the 85.
He looks kind of familiar.
Yeah, he's not many guys are built like Britton Covey, But I mean, it makes sense. I think there was that discussion leading into the other day. Who's going to return punts, right? Is it going to be Cooper DeJean? Is it going to be Jahan Dotson? That signing might tell you that Vic Fangio's like, we don't want this to be Cooper DeJean, or he does not want this to be Cooper DeJean returning punts, even though he was great at it at Iowa. He was good at it last season. I think Britton Covey is your safe option. You know what he is as a punt returner, and maybe he's your punt returner for the first 4 weeks. I imagine that's what it's going to be. Jahan Dotson and Cooper DeJean can do it, but I expect Britton Covey to take over that role pretty soon.
We're talking with Cayden Steele, of course, covers the Eagles for NJ.com, joining us here, hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live from yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora on 97.3 ESPN, also streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio. Just follow at Josh Hennig. So you just mentioned about, the kick and punt return. Obviously Fangio has been pretty vocal, right, about the whole, I don't want my guy back there. I want him for other things. But I always thought it was funny because it was kind of like, well, you might not want him back there, but he might be the best player to do the job. So do you think Britton Covey is here purely because of the kick and punt return, or do you think there's something else going on?
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, Britton Covey, in my opinion, doesn't have much offensive upside. I don't think he's going to play a role in offense. I mean, so I don't really think he serves you this high upside depth on the practice squad as a wide receiver. I think he is here because he is a sure-handed option who can return punts. And when they were making a decision about Ainias Smith, that played a role in it. Ainias Smith wasn't reliable, at least when it came to fielding punts. You know what Britton Covey gives you there. So I think he is the punt returner here. But to your point, I mean, Cooper DeJean could be the best punt returner in the NFL. And if they're in a game situationally and they're looking for a big return, maybe they can use him in that aspect as well. But I think Britton Covey, is their sure-handed option that they're bringing back just to give them an option they can feel comfortable with.
Speaking of feeling comfortable, we know that Fangio is very big very big on guys knowing his scheme, right? He wants guys to know what he's running. He doesn't like
and why, not just know, and why,
and the why as well. So how surprising is it that Tristan McCollum is no longer here, and all of a sudden Marcus Epps, who played with Jonathan Gannon, not Vic Fangio, is here?
A little surprising, right? Like Tristan McCollum didn't have the best preseason, and generally, like, I'm not sure what his upside is as a player, but Vic has seemed to like him. I mean, we're talking about a guy that back in the spring, when he mentioned the safety competition, he really opened up saying it's Drew Makuba, Sidney Brown, and Tristan McCollum. He also, talked, pretty highly about Tristan during training camp as well. So, I mean, the fact that he earned his trust, it was a good sign for Tristan. You figured that he would be a part of the team. He is a solid special teams player as well. I wonder, was this just a decision where they thought they could get Tristan McCollum through waivers? Like, they were confident, hey, we can get Tristan through. He will get him back on the practice squad. It was just a little roster maneuvering, and I wonder if they were caught off guard by him getting claimed by the Raiders. They got word, and then they went out and got Marcus Epps. That's my interpretation. I do think Vic at least liked Tristan McCollum, which is interesting. And Vic and Howie, though, I mean, this came from Howie, and we know that Vic and Howie don't always see eye to eye on things necessarily. So it is interesting that they had that little bit of that back and forth, but it definitely seemed like Vic was a Tristan McCollum guy. So
it's amazing how you can really think about how they put this team together, the Eagles, the front management, and especially Howie. But when you're this good, that you literally can bring a guy in and say your main job for us moving forward off the record is to catch the ball on a punt return and take it up the field. Because most teams will have a guy that's really good at it,
right?
But he's also the wide receiver. He's also the special teams. He's doing other things on it. But when this team, when you think about it, is this good at every position, that they have the what's the word I'm looking for? They're so good, let's just put it, that they can bring a guy in and just say, this, I want you to concentrate just on doing this one thing.
Right.
That's unbelievable for me.
I think it's interesting, though, because eventually, if Britton Covey is their punt returner of the season, they're going to have to move him up to the 53. They can only elevate him a certain amount of times.
Right.
Like I said, I don't know what upside he brings you as a receiver. So I get the aspect that they're comfortable. If it were me, though, from what I would do, I mean, I would let Jahan Dotson return punts. He was great at Penn State. It saves you a roster spot. You wouldn't have to move up.
He's familiar with it, right?
Yeah.
You see the shirt Carlin's wearing over here. He's all decked out.
You're exactly right. He's familiar with it. He's proven that he can do it, and he's already on your team, knows your system already.
Yeah. So, like, if you want to do Britton Covey for 4 weeks, that's fine. But, like, I don't know if I'm, like, cutting a guy that I like. Like they're going to have to move from a different position, probably like a defensive tackle or an offensive lineman. They're going to have to waive him and then move up Britton Covey. Or maybe, injuries happen, and sometimes maybe that'll open up the spot. But, like, I would let Jahan Dotson. You saw it at Penn State. I mean, he was electric. He didn't do it in Washington because, he's a first-round pick. I mean,
they were scared
on offense. But,
yeah.
No, he could have that role, so.
We're talking with Cayden Steele from NJ.com as the Eagles are preparing. They're just days away, less than a week away from opening the season against the Dallas Cowboys. And while we won't see a Micah Parsons on Thursday night, Cayden, we will see a Dallas offense that is going to try to go high power. We know Brian Schottenheimer, this is the first time he's ever been a head coach. They added George Pickens in the offseason. Their offensive line has been retooled, we'll call it. I'm not going to say it's good, but I say they retooled it. So how concerned are you? Because a lot of Eagle fans are. The number 2 corner was a competition all camp, right? Keely Ringo failed. He is not going to be the starting corner. And it looks like right now it's a Dory Jackson, which is interesting because it goes back to the Vic Fangio point, knowing the defense. Jacorian Bennett's probably the better player, but Jackson seems like maybe he knows the defense better.
I would be concerned. Look, still compared to the rest of the league, it's like a champagne problem. It's very they have a few weaknesses here and there. And the cornerback 2, I mean, most teams don't have a great number of cornerback 2, so you hope the guy can at least be average. And like you said, eventually, I think Jacorian Bennett will step into that role. He only played 10 games with the Raiders last year, but it seemed like he was coming on to the point where he was a young, promising player, showed a lot of upside. And if he gets comfortable in the scheme, maybe he solves that problem. But it's not a good situation to have Adoree Jackson to be the starter. I don't think he had a good camp at all, really. I mean, just to be frank, he just was a lot less bad than the other ones. You mentioned Keely Ringo, Josh. I mean, I do really think when they let go of Darius Slade, they wanted him to win the job. They believed in Keely Ringo, and he just came into camp, and he wasn't much better than he was last summer. Still struggling with the technique aspects. Like, he wouldn't turn his head. He was too grabby. You saw the struggles that he had in the preseason, the big missed tackle on Jamar Chase for the touchdown against the Bengals. It just wasn't a good summer for Keely Ringo. Now they have to fall back on Adoree Jackson, at least in the short term. And if you remember at the beginning of training camp, this is a guy that Vic pretty much just said, yeah, I didn't really want him. This is Howie's guy. So, like, they're in a position where I think they're trying to piece this together, and they're trying to figure out things as they go. And could it be Adoree Jackson for the whole year? Like, I doubt that. It's probably going to be Jacorian Bennett. Could it be even Mac McWilliams, the 5th-round rookie? Like,
right.
They're in a position where I think they're banking on a lot. And no matter who plays this position, it's going to be a downgrade from Darius Slay. It's going to be a potential weakness. And it doesn't matter how good Quentin Mitchell is and how much he could travel. There's a lot of teams in the NFL that have 2 or 3 good wide receivers. If they have a number 2 wide receiver that can create separation on a consistent basis, like George Pickens, and a very talented player that George Pickens is, like, he could take advantage of Adoree Jackson. They could make him the target on Thursday night. Overall, like, I don't think Dallas is a very good team. So, but that specific matchup, I don't think favors the Eagles, and it probably won't favor the Eagles for most of the year unless Jacorian Bennett steps up, which is, possible. So.
Well, listen, the key against Pickens is I think the Eagles need to go Cortland Finnegan on him, where they just start getting all physical. For those who don't remember, Cortland Finnegan was the Titans corner years ago who would get every receiver to fight with him. Like, he got under the skin of Andre Johnson and Mike Evans and, like, guys who are, like, very stoic professional guys. I think Adoree Jackson's key is to start, like, elbowing, Pickens in the ribs.
Try to get thrown out.
Get a little, blur the lines a little bit. Get under his skin, because Pickens, to me, I think he's going to implode that Dallas team this year. He is a bunch of fireworks under a kerosene tank waiting to happen.
Yeah, and you mentioned that it's also George Pickens' personality and stuff. Like, I don't know if Adoree Jackson has to do too much to rile him up. It might just take one small thing, and he might do it himself. Like, Andre Johnson, you might have to do that too, but George Pickens, he does that himself. But
sure.
I will say the good thing about Adoree Jackson, I guess, in this potential matchup, the only thing I can say is that when he has struggled in training camp, when he has struggled in the preseason, a lot of the stuff that he gives up is, like, underneath. Like, he doesn't get a burnt over the top. Usually he's always in the right position. I do think he's lost some of his athleticism that he once had when he was a star track runner at USC and a promising young player early in his career. Like, I don't think he's the athlete he used to be. But the difference between him and Keely Ringo is that he's always in the right position. He's going to give up some catches. But the Eagles just have more trust in him right now. And, I mean, we'll see what happens. But
Speaking of see what happens, before we let you go, Cayden Steele from NJ.com covers the Eagles. Check out all of his coverage over there with the NJ Advanced Media. Obviously, Saquon, monster year last year. Penn State guy sitting next to me. Remind everybody of that. But monster year. Historically, the next year, there's never been a guy to rush for more than 1,600 yards after a 2,000-yard rushing season. What is a realistic expectations for Saquon Barkley in an offense that does have the firepower to throw it if they need to?
Yeah. I do think they throw the ball more this year. Like, I still expect it to be a run-heavy offense, but it's an offense that can evolve and throw the ball more with the pieces that they have with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. When it comes to whether Saquon's going to decline or not, I do not think so. Like, 2,000 yards is probably unrealistic because they might evolve in that sense, or they pass the ball more and they monitor his carries a little bit. But, like, Saquon Barkley is different than a lot of running backs. Like, I know historically it's not good, but Saquon Barkley's a freak as an athlete. Like, he's just built different. I don't see him slowing down. Like, if he got 16 to 1,700 yards instead of 2,000, like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, he looked really good in training camp. Like, there was one practice where it was like probably like early August, and Saquon Barkley just dominated. And like you could tell, like his teammates love him, and it's infectious, and it rubs off, and they're all talking crap to each other, and they're all going back and forth. Like he doesn't look any slower. He might actually look a tad faster during training camp this summer than he did last summer, in my opinion. So I don't think we've seen it might sound crazy to say this. Maybe statistically he won't match it, but we might have not seen the best of Saquon Barkley yet.
I think he's dead on. I think Cayden's. I think 1,800 yards. I also think Barkley's the type of guy that the less carries you give him, the more in his head he could go backwards. Like I think you have to give him as much as he thinks he can handle, and I think you get the best out of him that way. So we'll see. It's going to be, but again, it goes back to, isn't it nice to be in that position?
Oh, great.
Where you got, and I wrote down on some notes like Will Shipley. Like I think this could be a year for him coming back, just giving him a couple breaks here and there, and you may see him have a breakout year. And I think Barkley's the type of guy that he proved it last year. It's all about the team.
Right.
If he sees Shipley's doing what he has to do, and it takes a couple carries away from him, but they still get the W, I think they just keep cruising. So we'll see.
Yeah. Good point. Will Shipley had a good summer, and he's a really good pass catcher. I wonder how they try to incorporate him in the offense. He could be an upgrade over Kenny Gainwell in that area. Like he's
100%.
got soft hands, and he's also a really good route runner. This is a good RB room in general. I mean, it's good when you have A.J. Dillon as your third running back. Like he brings some power as well. So it'll be fascinating how they use Saquon this year.
He's Cayden Steele. Check him out at NJ.com. NJ Advanced Media Eagles writer at Cayden_Steele on the X platform. And he joined us today to talk some Eagles here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Cayden, thanks again for jumping on. Take care.
Thank you, guys.